If it's Sunday, it must be Sunday dinner with Chef Joe. Hey everybody, and welcome to another beautiful, well, really not so beautiful today. It was a typical fall day here in Massachusetts. But it's what a perfect day for me to be prepping for you guys for Thanksgiving. That's right, today we're talking Thanksgiving. So last week we did appetizers. This week we're going to do sides, a couple of sides, two of my favorite sides, and my very favorite dessert that my family looks forward to every year. Anyways, we got a lot to do, so let's get going. So today we're going to do a mashed potatoes because my daughter absolutely loves the mashed potatoes, and I'm going to show you my secret recipe for mashed potatoes. We're going to be doing we don't do the typical mushroom, onion string, green beans casserole like everybody does on Thanksgiving. We do horseradish green beans. So I'm going to show you how to make horseradish butter green beans. And for dessert, my all-time favorite, I'm giving you guys my recipe today for my chocolate cream pie. Now the chocolate cream pie takes a little bit of work, so we're going to actually work on that first. So we're going to start right off. We have, I've got right here about 6 ounces of chocolate chips. These are semi-sweet chocolate chips. You can use any brand that you prefer. I usually use I like the Ghirardelli. I think it always works for me. Everybody has their own preference. And then you want to pour in with that. Now, I did that into a double boiler. So if you could see it, there's water underneath there. And then I'm pouring in about 1/4 of a cup of, you can either put in half and half or heavy cream. I was at a half and half because we're using it for everything else, so I'm doing heavy cream. All right? So now, with that, we are going to, let's get that starting to do its thing, and I'm just going to grab a rubber spatula so we can start. So what you want to do now is we're going to melt that out. All right? Now, while we're melting that out, we need to start making our pudding. So, now, when I first started making this, you guys, I did what pretty much everybody else does out there. I used the good old-fashioned box of chocolate pudding, and I put it into the pot, and I mixed it up, and then I put it into a pie crust, or into one of those graham cracker crusts. And guess what? I don't use the box anymore, but I still use the graham cracker crust. That's right. I'm sorry. I may be a chef, but I'm not a pastry chef. And if I could cheat a little, I'm cheating a little. And let's face it, when it comes to chocolate cream pie, which one do you guys prefer, really? Do you guys prefer the pudding and the chocolate and the whipped cream, or do you prefer the crust? It's the chocolate and the whipped cream. Let's face it. All right. So with that said, we are going to start heating up we have this going here, and then we have right here 2 cups of half and half. And what I'm going to do is I want to warm it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too hot, but I also don't want it to be too cold. So I'm going to put it in for a minute, and we're going to let that go. Then in here, I'm putting in 4 large egg yolks. So we're putting 4 large egg yolks into our pot. Okay? And we're going to take that and we're going to whisk that up real quick. Just get it whisked up a little bit. Alright? Now we're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. Granulated sugar. Okay? And we're going to just keep whisking that. Whisking it nice. You can see what it's doing. Alright? And what we're doing is we're whisking that until 2 things. We want to get the yolk and the sugar to be like a pale color. And the other thing we want to be able to do is, you might have heard the term ribboning the egg yolks. Well, we want to be able to ribbon the egg yolks. And what that means is, we want to get it light enough that and I'm going to show you what I do, is that when you get it light enough, you can draw your name on it. So I don't know if you can see it, but you're ribboning. See, I'm in cursive, I'm writing my name. So that's what you're looking for when you're ribboning your egg yolks. All right. You've got that in there. Now we are going to add 1/3 cup of flour. Now, if for some reason you don't want to use flour, you can substitute it for cornstarch. But I like to use all-purpose flour when I'm doing this. So that's 1/3 cup of flour. All right. We're going to just mix that up really well. And again, it's going to get really clumpy, and that's okay because it's going to loosen up when we get everything else in there. So you just want to really give that a good mix so that all the flour and the yolk and the sugar is all mixing up really good. All right, you guys see that? Great. Now let's go to our 50/50 that should be warmed up by now. So let's feel it. You don't want it to be too hot because you don't want to scald and cook your eggs right away, but you also don't want it to be too cold because you don't want to shock your eggs either. So this is nice and warm, and we're just going to start mixing our 50/50 right into our egg and sugar and flour mixture. Just like that. All right. And we're going to mix that up really well with our whisk, just to make sure the whole thing is whisked really well. And I'm putting it on medium. You want it to be on a medium to medium high, probably a little over medium temperature on your stove, because you don't want to cook it too fast, but you also don't want to cook it too slow. All right, so now we're just about done. We got it all pretty much mixed up in there. Now we're going to do some switching around. So we've got all that in there. Now we're going to get rid of our whisk, and we're going to switch over to a wooden spoon. Because with the wooden spoon, what you're looking for now is you're looking for it to start, you're going to start stirring it. And you just like you would a box of pudding that you put in with the milk, it's the same way. You're going to just keep stirring this until it comes to a boil. All right? Now, I'm going to start working on other things because I have my assistant who's going to actually stir for me while we go on to other things today. All right. Now, let's talk green beans. So right here I have some water boiling, and I'm going to put in some salt, and you want to put in a decent amount of salt because what you're trying to do is you want to get your water nice and has some good flavor to it, because the vegetables will actually take in some of the sodium, but only take in what they need to make it flavorful. All right? So we're going to do that, and then we're going to take our green beans that I have over here, and we're going to be putting them in here. But I'm going to show you for a second. Let me grab this over here for 1 second. If you can help me out here, buddy. Thank you. Oh, got a lot doing here. So, all right. So we have our green beans. And so, I don't know about you, but when you get green beans, they look terrible half the time. And you want to make sure that you cut them. And, you know, everybody always wants to snip them and trim them. So I'm going to show you guys a quick, easy way of doing that. So when you get your beans, you know, a lot of times they don't, you know, they're just kind of yucky looking and stuff like that. So what you want to do is you take your bean, and now normally you would just snip off the ends. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you do. Take your knife, and on the bias, you can give it a little slice so that it comes out with some little points, okay? Now, you want to do that unless you can get, now, if you see how this one has its little tail on it, that's actually a good thing. So you want to keep that, but the other end doesn't look as good, so we're going to snip off the end. And so it'll have a nice little tail and the end, just like that. So when they're all done, they look just like this, all right? And then we're going to what we call blanch them. So that's basically we're boiling them, and we're throwing them right now into that salty boiling water that we had. We're throwing all our beans right into there. Now the boiling water is going to stop, obviously, because the beans are colder than the water, so that's going to slow down our boiling process, but they'll come back up in just a minute. All right, so we're going to take care of that. So those are in there, and we're going to let those go until they've got some texture to them. All right? Once they do that, we're going to take them and we're going to we're going to drop them as they cook into this pot of ice water. Okay, so you can see it's got ice and water in here, and it's nice and cold. And as these get tender, and we don't want them too tender, but we want them tender, we're going to put them into our ice bath, okay? Now, while we're waiting on that, we're going to do our mashed potatoes. So in our mashed potatoes, I have potatoes that I have, these are 6 potatoes that I peeled, I cut into quarters, and we boiled them until they were soft. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to show you the cool trick on this. We got green beans in my butter here. Hang on one second. All right, we're going to pour the water out into a strainer so we catch our potatoes. And then we're going to keep the same pot, and we're going to put our potatoes right here for a minute. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do mashed potatoes. One way is that you can mash them, and another way is that you can run them through a thing called a ricer. And a lot of people use these. A lot of people have heard of them but never used them before. So I'm going to show you guys today a little bit of both, because the one thing about my daughter's likes about my mashed potatoes is she likes them both chunky and smooth at the same time. So we're going to do chunky and smooth at the same time. So we're going to start off, we're going to throw all our potatoes back into the pot. All right? And while we're doing that, let's check on our chocolate over here, because this should be almost done, because our pudding is starting to get there. So as you can see, back on our chocolate, it's melting now, and the cream and the chocolate are starting to come together. So as this melts, this will slowly come together. And as soon as it does, we're going to take it off the burner, because I want to use this little pot for our next thing that we're working on. But as you can see, it really came together nice, the chocolate, right? Okay, so that's going to be what we're going to make our chocolate pudding. So we're going to take that off. We're going to dump this water real quick. And then in its place, we're going to add, I have here 1 stick of butter that I cut up. All right, 1 stick of butter. Okay. All right. And I have let's do the garlic next. I have here 2 really good sized cloves of garlic, because we love garlic in this house, so we're throwing some garlic in there. All right. And then we're gonna let that go for a minute. We're gonna let that kind of melt. The butter's gonna melt out, and we're gonna sweat out our garlic. All right, meanwhile on these should be done. And how you can tell when they're done is when you pull them out, you can taste them. And they still have a bite, but you can tell they're cooked. So as we do that, we're going to put our beans straight into our ice bath. And what this does is it immediately stops the cooking process. And if you look, I'm going to show you the end result in a minute here, but you're literally just dumping these right into the ice bath. And then we're going to get rid of this pot. By the way, if you blanch, and this is called shocking, when you shock these and dry them, if you put them in a plastic Ziploc bag, you can keep these literally for about a week. And you can just reheat them and use them for whatever you want all week long. And you'll have green beans ready to go that you just literally need to heat and put whatever sauce or whatever you're making with it. All right, so that one's done. Let's just get some things so we can get rid of this, because I want to be able to use this in a minute. All right. So we've got that. I'm going to move my pan over here. We're going to let that heat up for a minute. Let's go back to our mashed potatoes. So here we have our mashed potatoes. So remember I said that some of them are going to be chunky and some of them are going to be rice. So we're going to put our ricing in here. Now, this is a fantastic way of making mashed potatoes, because as you can see, when you rice them, as you can see, it's squeezing out, literally squeezing out the mash to making, it's really mashing them right there in front of you. All right? Pretty cool, right? So we're going to take some more of that. Get a couple more in there. And you can, like I said, we're going to do half of these. It's going to be through the ricer, and half of these are going to be mashed. So we'll do one more, because we like some chunks in our mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving. All right. Beautiful. All right, so we've riced about half of those potatoes. Okay. Got that in there. Meanwhile, we got our butter. How's it? Oh, we got to get back to our pudding. So our pudding is looking really good here. It's nice and thick. As you can see, it's thickened up. So now we're going to add our chocolate right to it. Just like that. Put our chocolate right in there. I really like dark chocolate, as much chocolate as I can get in my pie. So I want to get every drop I can out of this bowl. All right. And then we're going to mix it all up in our, we're going to take it off of this because this is really done now. Okay. All right, we've got that done. And now we're not done yet. We're going to still do a little whisking in it. The other thing we want to do real quick is, let's get that chocolate off of there. We want all that chocolate in our pudding. So we've, as you can see, we're making chocolate pudding here. And you didn't need a box to do it. Yep, I see it. All right, we're going to move that over here for a minute. Grab we're going to grab our last ingredient to our chocolate cream pie for the pudding is vanilla. And I have here 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I like using the real thing. I just believe the real thing is the way to go. And then we're going to take our pudding and we're going to just whisk it really good right now. Give it a good whisk. Now, if you were making something else, you might want to strain your pudding, but we're making a pie out of it, so as long as you've whisked out all those, like the flour bits and things like that, which we have, you can then just pour that right into our graham cracker pie crust. All right, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put that into our refrigerator. We're going to let that set for a few minutes and let it cool. We're going to put it in the refrigerator, and I'm going to show you the end result in a minute. All right, now we got our butter, and our garlic has been poaching in here with our butter and our garlic. So now we're going to add our cream to it, and we're going to add just a little. What I like to do is, this butter's really hot, so here's a trick for you, chef trick. Take some of your hot butter and add it to your cream to temper your cream so that your cream, you don't kill your cream when you're putting it in and break it. Then we're going to put it back in, just like that. All right? And then we're going to pour this whole deliciousness right into... I see that. There's a spider coming for the show. He just got hit with the hot pan. He's dead. All right. Now, that's awesome. Welcome to live television, everybody. You know it's something every week on my show. You know that. All right. So now we're going to just mix all this goodness up. The butter, the garlic, the cream, the mashed potatoes. Giving it a good stir. Can you get that, Jake? And as you can see, it's really very smooth, and yet there's still some chunks in it at the same time. All right? Now we got to add some seasoning to it. So I always like to add a decent amount of salt to it, right? And you want to add some pepper to it. And we always like a lot of pepper in our mashed potatoes at our house. So we're giving it this is some really fresh cracked mashed potatoes. fresh cracked pepper. Oh boy. Hey, you know what that reminds me of? Reminds me of what's Joe drinking? Because that's what it's like. I'll tell you what Joe's drinking today. Because we're in the festive Thanksgiving mood, we are drinking a fig martini. That's right, a fig martini. It's made with vodka. It's made with fig vodka. And what's really cool about this is fig vodka, and a little vermouth, and 3 blue cheese olives. Because I always have to have 3 olives in my martinis. But the cool thing about this is there was a restaurant here in my town. It was a very good restaurant. We used to always go there on Christmas Eve. And the guy who owned it created a fig vodka that he started here locally, and then he took it nationally. And we've always been fans of this, and we've always had it at his restaurant when he was open. Oh, it has such a festive flavor to it. It has that fig flavor. It's got some, what else? Other notes of like apples in it. Really nice fig vodka. And like I said, it goes really nice with the blue cheese olives. Really good. So that's what we're drinking today. All right. Now that I've calmed down after my fig vodka, I'll get back to work. All right. I like to put a little fresh thyme into our mashed potatoes. And how about a little fresh rosemary? Because, you know, you really want to flavor up your mashed potatoes, all right? So we got that done. Now let's get to our green beans. It's our last thing on here. So once your green beans are done, you can take them out of the ice bath and you can put them, you put them in a towel or a paper towel, like I said, or you can put them in a plastic bag. And I'm just looking for a place to put these. So these are ones that I blanched and shocked earlier today. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take, I have here about 4 tablespoons of butter. Unsalted butter we're putting into our hot pan. All right. And then I also have 2 tablespoons of prepared horseradish that we're going to throw right into our mix. All right. And we're going to let that heat up really quick. All right. And then as that butter melts out in the horseradish, we're literally going to just take our green beans and we're going to dump them right back into the butter and the horseradish. And we're just going to let that, I'm going to grab some tongs, and we're going to let that, here, I'll just use these for right now. And we're going to mix all this up, and we're going to saute this until they're reheated and coated with the horseradish and the butter. Just like that. Really super simple, you guys. And yet, I got to tell you something. People, if you serve this at your table on Thanksgiving, people are going to be like, holy cow, what kind of gourmet chef are you? Because, I mean, simplest ingredients in the world, and yet tastes so freaking unbelievable. We'll add a little more salt to it, a little pepper to it, and then we're just going to let those heat up. All right? So, let's get over and we'll start plating some things. So, got our mashed potatoes here. I'm going to grab a serving spoon. So we have our delicious looking mashed potatoes. These look awesome. Put that into our serving thing for Thanksgiving. Look at this. Oh, these mashed potatoes are just beautiful. Really super simple, you guys. Super tasty. Can make it as flavorful, as dull as you want. And really nice. Okay, you put that there. You can sprinkle a little more rosemary on top and maybe a little more thyme. Okay, we got that dish done. We've got our horseradish green beans going here. We need to plate those. Okay, gonna turn everything off here. All right, let me grab some tongs. Okay, we got these beautiful horseradish green beans that we've sauteed up. And again, really super simple. Just green beans, butter, prepared horseradish, a little salt and pepper. And you literally are going, people are going to think like you worked, slaved over these things for hours. I'm not kidding you on that. And then, of course, you know me, I'm saving the best for last. The chocolate cream pie. So as I said, you're going to take this when it's cooled off and you're going to put it in the refrigerator. But when it's done and it's set, you know what the best part about this show is? We have 2 chocolate cream pies. All right, let's come right over here so you can get a close-up. So this is it after it's been set. All right, all we have left to do is add the whipped cream to it. I've put, all I did is in my whipped cream canister, I just added about half of this is full of heavy cream. I put in like 2 tablespoons of, maybe 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then we're going to give it a good shake. And we're going to you can just whip cream this thing right. Just like that. And we just keep going. Make it as, you can add, I like a lot of whipped cream in this house, and I know everybody else does too, so you know we're going to add a lot of whipped cream to this. All right. And when you're done, if you need to add a little something to that, you can always add some chocolate chunks. Or how about a few more of those chocolate chips that we had when we used it to make our thing? We'll put a few chocolate chips on here, just like that. And ladies and gentlemen, I've just given you 2 side dishes and a dessert, and I have my fig martini, and I don't know about you, but I am psyched for Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. By the way, the one cool thing that most people who've followed me now for a while know that I always make a live appearance on Thanksgiving Day to show you I always baste and inject my turkey on Thanksgiving. So tune in. You don't know what time it's going to be. I don't even know what time it's going to be yet because it's whenever I wake up on Thanksgiving. But anyways, until then, I want you all to stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe. And I will see you next Sunday on Sunday Dinner with Chef Joe.